This book has so many red flags and people just want to disagree.
Yeah, I don't think you should be buying this book right now.
I remember this book and it made my shop reek.
Like literally, the whole shop smelt. The most trending comic books in the world. And Steve Rutt, congratulations. You won this ASM 41 first appearance of the Rhino. If you want to be like Steve, which we've reached out to you via SMS, join our SMS group. It's the only way you can qualify to be in all of our giveaways. And we're back to doing giveaways every single week. Why don't you show them this week's giveaway?
Make sure you are signed up for the opportunity to win this 9/9 Wolverine Red Band #1 incredible cover by John Boy Myers.
Go to comictom.com, link in the description. Join the SMS group. You keep up on all of our drops that we do, convention drops, etc., new exclusives, but you also get access to discounts that we exclusively provide our SMS group. And you're qualified to win books like this every single week. Henceforth, number 10 on the list is West Coast Avengers #1. This is the one per store. And dare I say, in the 7 years we've been covering this marketplace, as it pertains to Marvel one per stores, it's never been a better time to get your hands on them because they're going for more affordable prices than ever because now the distribution's been split up to two different companies, Diamond and Penguin, meaning that one per stores are actually kind of like two per stores.
Most shops do use both Penguin and Diamond for distribution, and you don't have to sign up for anything. If you're getting Marvel Comics, they're going to send them to you. So there are a lot of these out there, which is why the prices are lower on these one per stores than a lot of people would expect. This West Coast Avengers is a cool one because it's a cover of Blue Bolt, which is a new character, but we are seeing sales in the $12 to $15 range pretty consistently. And that's fairly low for a new one per store.
In the past, books like this would go for like 30, 40 bucks. So I do like seeing prices get a little soft, but I want people to know exactly why. It's more of a supply outdoing the demand. But I digress because we do have a very interesting comic book here. West Coast Avengers #1, featuring kind of a new lineup, featuring Ultron joining the team. All I had to see was that Jerry Duggan was doing the writing on this. And you know, if you've been following this channel, that I absolutely love his book, Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, issue #1 that came out over the last month. And this is definitely a writer that you got to be following everything he does.
West Coast Avengers has never been a normal team. Even if you look back to the 80s, it was kind of a team that they threw together. And then you've got the run that has She-Hulk and Wonder Man and, again, White Vision. But for the new one, the fact that Ultron is on the straight and narrow and being a good guy, we're going to see how long that lasts. I myself am excited that we get to see Firestar and Spider-Woman, and I think a lot of comic book collectors are going to agree with me because we have this amazing Artgerm cover and an incredible Adam Hughes that both have Firestar on them, and another Ji-Hyun Lee featuring Spider-Woman. So go out, get these books, a lot of great variants available, and good jumping on point.
Hit the like and subscribe. We cover the most trending comic books every single week. And I'm sick, so I need your sympathy likes. Well, we move on to #9 on the list with Nova #1 from 1976, hitting $130 average sales. A recent 9.8 hit $495. I don't think this book will drop below $400, but this book peaked at $3,000 because we've been waiting for Nova something to hit the MCU. Kevin Feige's repeated that on multiple podcasts over the years, over the last 7 years to be precise, to no success. The only new news that I have found as it pertains to Nova are two things. The first is James Gunn was asked, why didn't you include Nova in Guardians of the Galaxy? His response was, only wanted to deal with one human in this movie. And that was Peter Quill. Makes sense. He only wanted to focus on Star-Lord. And I think that was a good choice, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the only other thing that I was able to find is that the real only updates outside of the comic narratives coming out is Cassandra Nova conversations happening on the internet because of Deadpool Wolverine. There's been so little Nova updates that we're actually seeing more Cassandra Nova updates than anything else this year. Well, we're seeing a 125% increase in copies sold this week of Nova #1, probably because the prices are so low. And any updates, even if it's just wondering why James Gunn didn't include Nova, spikes this book up because people remember Nova's going to happen. Just when it happens is TBD.
I remember this book, and it made my shop reek.
Like literally, the whole shop smelt.
Number 8 on the list, Batman Santa Claus Silent Night #1 from last year. We were reporting $4 average sales and a 567% increase in copies sold. Why did it reek? Because there was a variant cover of this done by Ben Oliver, a lovely peppermint schnapps smelling Santa Claus.
You literally would walk into this guy's store and you're like, damn, did you like spray something in here?
It was really one of those that I thought it was a great idea, but it was pungent. It really, really was. But it was a great read, and it was a fun one, a 4-issue miniseries having Batman and Santa Claus in a Christmas-themed adventure. Well, a new one just came out this last week, issue number 1 for Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns. So a lot of this is because people are remembering the book from last year, 567% increase in copies sold. We've only had 2 sales and a 9.8. There's a $20 and a $37 sale. So it's not like anyone's really buying this for spec consideration. I think it's just festive time of year. And in addition to cover A and that great peppermint schnapps cover, there is a wonderful Zatanna cover sitting on Santa's lap. So get those out there. Go pick up some comics. It is time for Christmas books.
And I will say, we've been covering this list yearly for multiple years. Thanksgiving week is such an interesting time of year as it pertains to comic book purchasing because there's not a whole lot of news that breaks. So what we're seeing is like some of the most authentic, like just people buying stuff they want to get, not necessarily making a whole lot of spec plays. And I think this is a good example of one. Holiday themed books. Moving on to number 7 on the list with DC Comics Presents number 47. This one, more of a spec play. Got the first appearance of He-Man, seeing $260 average sales, $1,050 as of October 2024 for a CGC 9.8. Seems about right. I mean, that's what this book has been going for at a 9.8 all year long. Well, we know that there is a movie in production, but we're hearing about Idris Elba possibly portraying a character from this franchise that I am not familiar with.
We have unconfirmed rumors that Idris Elba will be playing Man-at-Arms, who is Prince Adam's confidant and best friend. When you have an inventor and a protector who is going to be fighting alongside He-Man, and it could potentially be Idris Elba, a lot of people are jumping up and listening. 150% increase in copies sold this week on unconfirmed rumors.
If we get an actor like Idris attached to this movie, it has officially gone from, oh, this could happen but get canceled to it's likely going to happen. Very similar to what's going on with Voltron right now as it pertains to Henry Cavill casting. Keep an eye on this book while we move on to number 6 on the list with G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, number 1. Oh, Joshua Williamson killed it. I am not a big G.I. Joe dude. I never watched the show. I never owned a single toy. I've never read any of the books. I mean, hell, what number are they on? Like 300 and something?
Multiple publishers have been continuing the torch of Larry Hama's original G.I. Joe run, and issue number 1 is on the list this week. But yes, we are over 300 issues of that continuing story. I know a few diehards that are still trying to get every single one of those new issues, but right now, the new G.I. Joe that just came out from Image Skybound is a fantastic jumping on point, and I think people need to be reading this book. And that is really the reason why we are seeing the original G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, on the list this week.
Tom Riley, absolutely killing it on the artwork, but Jodie Belair, her color work has got me looking for other comics that they have done colors on. This is a great jumping on point. As someone who's never read G.I. Joe, I mean, really, I was introduced to both Transformers and G.I. Joe through this Energon universe that's actively happening. And what I will say is I'm pretty caught up on Void Rivals, Transformers, Duke, Scarlet, Cobra Commander. I think I hit them all. But for whatever I have read, it does make G.I. Joe better, but it's not necessary for you to read all those prior issues. But it's a great time to put your orders in because there are hardcover editions coming from the Energon universe. And I'm talking Transformers, I'm talking Duke, and I'm also talking Void Rivals.
So for the original G.I. Joe from 1982, we are reporting $180 average sales and $986 for a CGC 9.8. It's a 110% increase in copies sold this week, and I can tell you that real-world experience, I was at a con a couple weeks ago, and at our booth, G.I. Joe, the original Marvel run, was one of the most in-demand runs people were looking for, and I had at least 15 people ask me if I had a G.I. Joe 155, the final issue of the run. There is demand here, and very clearly this Energon universe is driving a lot of this nostalgia.
Over on Whatnot, I do live streams every week selling comic books. Use my link, get a $15 credit. I'm getting asked about G.I. Joe, Transformers, Void Rivals, like the new stuff, the old stuff, the incentives, the John Boy Myers 1 in 100s. Like, it is definitely a noticeable change to collector's interest because these are not traditional books that people are after, especially modern collectors, let alone back issue completionists. I will mention that hardcover for Duke will also contain Cobra Commander. I cannot recommend Duke enough. Gotta read Duke. And you have some time on these hardcovers because it looks like Transformers doesn't come out till April, Void Rivals May, and then the Codename G.I. Joe hardcover will come out in June. So you got some time to put your orders in. I'm getting all of these.
Another win for Joshua Williamson.
If you're trying to complete your G.I. Joe runs, I suggest you download Key Collector Comics. There's so many comic books, and you can keep track of them all. And you can see pictures of all the books. If there's any variants to any of the books, any store variants to these books, it's categorized all on the app for free. You don't even have to use my code TOM101 and support the show and get access to a free 2 weeks of the app in its entirety. You can just enjoy the catalog and keep track of all your books and get suggested pricing.
Key Collector, the app, has become as integral to collecting as your Overstreet price guide. It's the type of thing that if you're not using Key Collector, you are missing out.
Download it. And number 5 on the list, we're looking at Fantastic Four Annual number 6. Now, first appearance of Annihilus, which is the ruler of the negative zone, but also was Spec back when like Mephisto stuff was taken off. Never happened, but now it's kind of happening. But people aren't buying this book for that reason anymore. It's all because of Fantastic Four First Steps and rumors that Franklin Richards, the son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, may actually have a role long-term to play in the MCU. Only rumors, but this does make sense. We have $525 average sales, and a recent 9.0 went for $880. We're seeing an increase of copies sold of 167% this week. I think the Fantastic Four spec is just starting.
With Fantastic Four being one of the longest running and earliest Marvel comic books, it makes sense that it's kind of going to be self-contained and then branch out throughout the Marvel universe. And I'm already excited because at the end of Agatha All Along, the fact that we got a comic accurate Agatha Harkness, and she's the one that takes care of baby Franklin Richards over and over and over again. I think there's a lot of good connections here. Spec has just begun.
Number 4 on the list is Amazing Spider-Man 361. This book is hitting 200. That says $100. That actually says $100 average sales.
Low. It's cheap. It's way cheap.
All right. $284 for a CGC 9.8 for the first appearance of Carnage.
Gross.
Dude, this book was $1,000+ during the Woody Harrelson spec. And I will say, although this book has dropped, it is seeing an increase of copies sold of 114% for good reason. I will get to that in a second. If you're looking to like enter into comic collecting and you want to get some ASM keys, dude, $284 for a 9.8 first Carnage is a great place to start.
Although I do actually really want to say this. All day long, I will beat my drum and say Uncanny X-Men 266 First Gambit
Again?
should be a $1,000 book, and I understand the market's down. This book, that was overpriced at $1,000, but still, $284 for a CGC 9.8 feels grossly undervalued for First Carnage.
Well, we do have a new solicitation for this comic book that I think some people may cringe up for a second. Bear with me. We've seen Eddie Brock be Venom, obviously. We've seen him be the King in Black. We've seen him be anti-Venom, but we've never seen him bond with the Carnage symbiote. And pretty soon we're going to get just that. Eddie Brock, Carnage #1. And some people just went like, oh, damn, Marvel's just like teaming up characters that don't need to team up, whatever. But then you see the writer is Al Ewing, and you can just go all in on this, add it to your pull list. I mean, we're talking Immortal Thor, Immortal Hulk. Like, it's freaking Al Ewing, dude. I am so hyped for this. Will Eddie Brock go full murderous with the Carnage symbiote? Is he going to be feeding him people because Carnage is this like psycho killer? Or will he be able to control Carnage? I'm excited to find out.
This book has so many red flags and people just want to disagree.
Yeah, I don't think you should be buying this book right now.
Number 3 on the list, Mark Spears' Monsters #1. Cover A. This book, or a variant of such, has been on the list for multiple weeks, multiple times since about the week before Halloween.
I had to check it, dude. It says $65 average sales on this book.
142% increase in copies sold. It's a Keen Spot book. It's a brand new book a couple months ago. And the fact is that it's a low print, high demand book with some very cool variants. I just don't think this is long-term. And man, people are paying way too much money, in my humble opinion, for this book.
Yeah, if you just like search up on eBay sold listings on Mark Spears' Monsters #1, or just Mark Spears in general, you're going to see the 1 in 25s going for near $100. Like, they're all over the place. I mean, I'm ordering heavy on this too, hoping that it's just like it's super popular and people really like the covers, etc. But I think there's a couple things going for this right now. One, it was under ordered. So yeah, maybe the supply isn't meeting the demand, but also they're doing what like Skybound didn't do with their Universal monsters, and they're doing a bunch of homages that are meeting the collectors' like wishes and their hopes and dreams, right? Like was making a Batman 423 homage, for example, you know, putting Dracula in the stance of Spawn #1. And that's not happening elsewhere, but you have major IPs making this happen. So there are collectors who want this. I just keep thinking like we're too close to Halloween. There's a lot of these books that are coming out. And where are these prices going to be in March next year? Like if you really want these books, I think you got to just be patient. Just wait a little bit. They're cool. I'm interested, but I'm not interested at these prices.
And just to be perfectly clear, I think Mark Spears is a fantastic artist, and really his trading card set is very, very cool. These Universal monsters are popular, and we know that people are going to be buying them. So when you have the Halloween, you have the Universal, you have the people that are buying the homages, yes, it is a perfect storm, but really, be careful with this one. If you're willing to pay what you're willing to pay and you're happy with that and it's going into your personal collection, awesome. That's great. If you're buying a bunch of these in the hopes that you can flip them to the next guy, that's when you need to be careful. So please buy them for your personal collection, but if you're buying them for any type of long-term spec, you should really reconsider it.
Which brings us to number 2 on the list with Venom 39. This was a foreshadowing variant that just came out this past week, hitting $12 average sales. Anyone could have ordered this, but it features the all-new Venom on the cover because we have all-new Venom coming out very soon.
We are seeing a 575% increase in copies sold this week. Just came out November 13th, so about 2 weeks ago. And the fact that we are seeing the first cover appearance of all-new Venom has a lot of people excited for next week, December 4th, when we are going to end up seeing All New Venom, #1, written masterfully by Al Ewing, who you would know from Immortal Hulk, Immortal Thor, some great runs. Absolutely one I am very, very excited about.
Al Ewing's the type of writer that when you see that solicitation, doesn't really matter what he's attached to, you're in good hands. Add it to your pull list. And I like what they're doing with this. The premise is like a mystery. Who is the all-new Venom? They're not just going to give this to us. It's kind of like Red Hulk, where we didn't know that Thunderbolt Ross was the Red Hulk for quite a bit way through the narrative. Well, this is what we're getting with all-new Venom. He could be a terrorist. He could be a journalist. He could be the mayor. And we're going to be getting clues along the way. And as you said, written masterfully by one of the best writers of our generation. Add this to your poll list. It makes sense why this foreshadow variant is spiking up.
The anticipation for this one is high. #1 on the list this week, Weird Ward Tales, number 93 from 1980. First team appearance of Creature Commandos. This trailer was awesome, and I am so excited for this show to hit.
This trailer looks amazing. You know, all the producers behind this just got done watching Invincible on Amazon. They saw how well the violence did, and if they dial it up to a mature rating, that it's going to just bring in the right adult audience on HBO Max, which is where this is going. And oh, is there gore? Is there violence? Eyes popping out of skulls, people getting their heads blown off, and we get to see more of the Weasel, which is what I've been waiting for since Suicide Squad. I wanted to see the Weasel in action. We didn't get enough of that, and we're going to get that in here. I want to see G.I. Robot. I want to see The Bride, and this looks outstanding. We have a $250 average sale. $1,050 in August for a CGC 9.8. There are only 17 copies on the census and a 9.8. This is a team that debuted in Weird War Tales. Like, they didn't have enough behind them to get their own ongoing series. So their first appearances are within another title, which is largely why this book has gone under the radar for way too long. An increase of copies sold of 300% since the trailer dropped.
This trailer looks fantastic, and I am absolutely getting some Venture Brothers vibes from this. If you are a fan of Creature Commandos, you need to be watching this animated series. And if you are a fan of the team, you really need to be paying attention to the fact that David Dastmalchian, who you would know as Polka Dot Man, he is going to be writing the new Creature Commandos. It'll be coming out mid-2025. He had a great interview called One of Us, showing just how deep his geek runs.
You need to see this interview with David on CBR's YouTube channel. He takes you to his geek den. You see that he owns a ton of long boxes, short boxes filled with bagged and boarded comic books. I love seeing that actors and celebrities that I enjoy on the big screen are just as geeky as us. As always,
Geek responsibly.
enough said.